Hi, are you struggling to beat your opponents in chess? Are you constantly losing and wanna change that? Worry no more. Here are 9 simple tricks that are gonna instantly improve your win rate. Just a quick disclaimer before we begin. This video was made with comedy purposes only. If your goal is to beat Magnus Carlsen, then you should probably get a bit more realistic. Also note that implementing any of the given tips is at your own risk, and I'm not taking any responsibility if it lands you at jail or even worse, loses your game. And yes, these tips are focused on the over-the-board chess. If you've never actually played over the board, only on the internet, then you're missing out, and you should do so as soon as possible. Tip number 1. Smile when your opponent is about to make a move. Now, this requires basically no effort on your part, but forces your opponent to put in a lot of it. Such simple gesture forces him to waste a bunch of time rethinking his move, and possibly life choices that led him to this game and you. Be careful not to do this if he's about to make a blunder. Tip number 2. Keep staring straight into your opponent's eyes when it's his move. This might sound strange, but let me explain. It will catch him completely off guard and make him unable to focus on the game, potentially losing time and eventually the game itself. Definitely do this if you want to spread hate and just see the world burn. Tip number 3. Pretend you are playing a war. Now, moving wooden pieces, or plastic, if tournament organizers are on a budget, can get pretty boring. Just look at the whole concept of capturing. You safely remove your enemy's follower before moving your piece on their square. Like, hello? Does it get any worse? Now imagine you'd blow up their pieces every time you take them. That'd be exciting. You'd also be constantly looking for captures and wouldn't miss completely free hanging pawns. Tip number 4. In openings, confidence is the key. It doesn't matter who knows more theory. It only matters who thinks the other player knows less. Cause once you realize your opponent doesn't have a clue what he's doing anymore, well, now you're standing on equal ground. Don't give him that satisfaction. Tip number 5. Take your queen back in endgames. Since there aren't many pieces left on the board, pawns are always threatening to promote and upgrade. That's just basic psychological trick that every grandmaster uses and works every time. The main purpose isn't even faster promotion, but asserting dominance. If you want to be an extra badass, take a knight, or a bishop if your name is Fabiano. Also, you can do it even if you have no pawns left, just as well, cause why not? Great confusion. Tip number 6. Bribe your opponent. Now, it might sound silly to waste money on such case, but who knows? Maybe you can get famous by becoming world's youngest grandmaster. Tip number 7. Threaten your opponent's life. If your opponent declines bribery, well, it's not the end of the world. There still exist other means of reaching your goals. I wouldn't recommend this one though, as it might just so happen that you will not play your next game in such a quiet and comfortable place, if you'll get to play it at all. And lastly, but most certainly not leastly, tip number 8. If you run out of time, just move the clock. Now you haven't lost on time. Your opponent has. Easy peasy. I hope you haven't learned anything useful today. If you have, then you might want to reconsider playing chess in the first place. And oh yes, I've almost forgotten. Tip number 9, as it's such an unimportant one. But who knows? It might do something for you in some parallel universe. Study chess and actually improve.